We are live. What's going on, everybody? Sean Louis, aka Lyle Lewis, coming at you one more time, looking at you with two black eyes. Hey, guys, I know it's been a while. I've been fooling around with a lot of editing stuff because now we are going to be crossing over into a new era where, there's not all the shows are going to be live. Don't get me wrong. I like to do the live shows because then it just kind of puts me on blast that, I have to really know what the hell I'm talking about, or at least act like I know what I'm talking about well enough to get through a show. But I mean, we're going to start having, I'm going to, like we told you in several episodes before, like in earlier episodes, we're going to be bringing in green screen and blah, 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 and yada, yada, yada. I keep telling y'all I'm going to learn to fade to black. I'm learning to fade to black. So it's like, I'm getting a lot of editing stuff, learning, blah, blah, blah. So, but that doesn't mean that I forgot about y'all. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please, by all means, give me some kills and some plisses. Click like, subscribe, kills and plisses. And please, by all means, continue to keep tuning in. Hit the bell icon. Give me some thumbs up. Thumb this video way the hell up. And I thank you for those who have. Now, we are going to cover, because like I said, like we said, two black guys, we're looking at everything from anime, fighting, martial arts, martial artists, blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at like, man, I have yet to do a show about any kind of fighting. So me being, I'm always like, I'm a martial artist. I'm a martial artist. I'm a martial artist. So let me show you at least something that I can do. All right. Right. Am I right? Okay. So, what I want to do is like, and please, like I said in the description, don't just walk out in the street like an idiot and go be like, yeah, I learned this on the internet. You want to get yourself knocked the hell out, okay? Understand this. First thing you got to understand about fighting. Fighting, I don't care what form, what style, I don't care. All of it is theory. Think about it. All of it. Fighting, it's all theory. Why? Because if fighting was facts, if every fighting style was factually the best fighting style, we'd never have it be where anyone ever lost a fight. Think about it. Let me give you a minute. If I knew how to edit everything, this would be where I put the Jeopardy music in so that you can kind of let it ponder. Yeah. So now, necessarily mean like research as far as like they, the person who studied mantis style watched the praying mantis fight a snake, or I don't know what the hell is the full background of it all, but you have it be where, through years and years and years of people practicing and studying and practicing these forms of all different forms, from boxing to wrestling to whatever, they perfected it. But if you get it to where everybody, the first primary fighting style, the first fighting style is better than you. Get what I'm saying? Yeah, I know it sounds confusing. I know. But if you understand fighting, period, doesn't matter what form. All right. I like how Bruce Lee said, everybody has two arms and two legs. So unless there's no, you've got different styles and whatnot, but unless you have, more limbs, there's nothing that you can do more than the next individual. You know what I'm saying? Notice with Bruce Lee, even with Bruce Lee, he's an individual who pushes himself to the limit. He pushed himself to the limit to be the best. You look at individuals like Michael Jai White. You look at individuals like, other martial artists, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Scott Adkins, Tony Jaa. You look at individuals like them, right? They push themselves to fight and to be the best and to, to develop their style and things like that. They push themselves, all right? But they had to study these forms, and they will tell you, they know as good as they are, there's always somebody out there that's better. That doesn't necessarily mean that they will accept defeat from them. That just means there is somebody out there. There's always somebody else out there that kicks harder. There's always somebody out there that punches faster. Always. Again, if a fighting was factual, there would never be a fight lost, ever. Every fight would be a draw. If Kung Fu was, then people who, you got to regular street fighters to beat top tier of the individual. All right. Now it's about an individual who wants it more. Okay. An individual who studied more, trained more, practiced more. This is, they're more involved. You know what I'm saying? You get it where somebody who studies martial arts once a week, like this, so that's as far as they go. They study martial arts once a week. All right, and you get them get some street fighter, and I'm not talking about a street fighter like they know it. No, I'm talking about just some dude who's just some backyard brawler, who just some barroom brawler who throws hands on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? You get it where this individual, all they've done is practice in a safe and structured environment, and there's always somebody there to say stop, okay, enough, and 3-point system, as opposed to somebody who's like there are no points. It's just about who get knocked out first. The individual who's always fighting will 9 times out of 10 be able to beat that martial artist. Why? He's more well versed in what he's doing. He's more well versed in throwing hands than this individual is who's practicing martial arts all the time. But you get it where this individual that practice martial arts 8 hours a day, I'm talking about they're practicing like UFC style. They're practicing their whatever form of martial arts they practice every single day, 8 hours a day. Then even when they get off of practicing, they're still doing stuff to train. They're conditioning their body, and then you put them against that same street fighter. Now, 9 times out of 10, the individual that trains 8 hours a day and really is putting this all into trying to be the best fighter he can be in their fighting style will 9 times out of 10 beat the crap out of this individual. Now, it kind of what? Who wants it more? Who's the one who's always like baiting the individual to come in? Is usually the one who not all the time, because I'm sure that there's many people you can always, oh, well, he did this and he got knocked out and this and that and this. The individual who knows how to control the fight, let me put it that way. The individual who is in control up here has a better understanding of how to control the fight than the individual who's just operating off of like fight or flight or just pure adrenaline or whatever the case may be. All right. Prime example, look at Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was so comfortable in the ring and he's able to move and he's talking smack and this and that. Why? Because he understands with him talking smack. Now, mind you, he talked a lot of smack outside the ring. He talked a lot of smack in the ring. He's moving. Oh, I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. You want to know why? So that he can control the fight. He can get in his opponent's mind and make it to where the only thing you're trying to do is shut him down, but he's got his game already set where he's got a full, he knows what he's going to do. He's comfortable in it. You know what I'm saying? But then also, you also got to realize Muhammad Ali trained and trained and trained. All right. He trained hard. You don't just become the best by just luck. It doesn't just happen by coincidence. All right. This isn't Rocky where he just, you know what I'm saying? It just so happened some schmuck from Brooklyn just happens to in. No offense. I love you, Sylvester Stallone. I'm just using that as an example. I still love Rocky. And yes, he did train hard in the movie. Yeah, I know. But just for example, those who watch the movie, you guys understand what I'm talking about. But, you get it where Apollo Creed, champion, right? He's, and you can tell he's comfortable in the ring. But you get it where Rocky trained, and he trained hard. This is the hardest he's ever trained in his life. And then on top of that, he wanted it more, right? So when the match came where he beat Apollo Creed, Apollo Creed, yeah. I'm thinking of the new movies Creed. I'm like, yeah. When he beat Apollo Creed, it's because he wanted it more. See, Apollo Creed was like, it's not to say that he didn't want it, but he wanted it for the wrong reason. He wanted it just to feed his ego. Sylvester Stallone wanted to prove a point that he is a champion. You know what I'm saying? He wanted it. He had stuff to fight. He felt as though he had something to fight for. You get what I'm saying? You get an individual who feels as though they got something to fight for, an individual who's like they're fighting for their life or whatever the case may be. They probably will. Prime example. You get it where a lot of times an individual, you get it, especially folks from like my generation, like I'm 39. So anybody who was like born in the 80s, the 70s, and maybe the early 90s, when somebody talked about your mother, that was it. Like you can talk about mom, dad, sister, grandma. You can talk about it. Don't talk about mom. You do not talk about an individual's mother. All right. You get those fights. And usually the one whose mother was talked about is usually the one who wins the fight most cases. Why? Because that individual loves their mother so much and wants to defend their mother's honor so much. They want that victory so much more. They will beat the crap out of the individual that's talking smack. I seen it with my own eyes when I was a kid. It was one kid, you know what I'm saying? Fat kid. I'm talking about fat. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like he can't walk 3 steps without breathing hard fat. Okay. Like this kid is like, he's never got, you can tell like he probably has never really gotten into a fight other than with his siblings. Okay. This kid was just, and I mean, he was not one of those kind of kids who like talking smackness and that. Real cool kid, gentle kid. He wasn't a troublemaker. He wasn't involved in any of that stuff. He was just, hell, he was at that doggone age where, Power Rangers and VR Troopers were the thing. You know what I'm saying? That was all that he was worried about. VR Troopers and Power Rangers and doggone Batman and, you know what I'm saying? Like, kid stuff. He was a kid. You know what I'm saying? And he went up against this other kid, big loudmouth kid, talk about fights, this and I've been in fights and that. Athletic kid. You know what I'm saying? Kid wasn't skinny. He was trash talking about the first kid's mother would, and when these two he said something about his mother, and the kid turned around and one fat kid said, "Do not talk about my mother. That's the last thing you're gonna do." "Oh, what you gonna do?" Other fat kid, "What you gonna do?" This and that and this. The one that you would think would win the fight. "What you gonna do?" This and that, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. He said, "Let me give you one more time." Like, whoa, if he's going to fight, this is going to be a fight. You got to see this. We're watching. And he whooped that other kid's behind. All right? This is a kid you would never have thought could throw hands, beat the crap out of this kid. But hold it. You had it where somebody messed with him and they were fighting him and they beat him up and he was just crying. He just sat there and cried. But when somebody talked about his mother, he went off and he beat the crap out of that other kid. And we're like, wow, like, man, you got beat up by a kid who probably has never even had a real fight in his life. Why? The other kid wanted it more. So I say this, and I'm by all means, if you got anything that you want to say that is contrary to what I have to say, by all means, throw it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And we can go ahead and bring it up on this topic or discussion or whatever. Hey, challenge me on it. By all means, challenge me on it. Go study a fighting style and then go up against somebody else who wants the victory more than you do. Go up against somebody who's practiced longer than you have, who's practiced harder than you have. This is another reason why Bruce Lee kind of broke it down like, fighting is an expression, because people, they put the fact that it's a certain kind of art, they put the art on a pedestal. And Bruce Lee said, get rid of all of that. It's about the individual. That's what Bruce Lee was saying. It is about the individual. This is why he said you have to make it a style, make it your style. Don't go according to the style and the custom of karate or kung fu or no. Go according to what. That's the reason why he came up with Jeet Kune Do. That was his style that he made. That was his expression of what, of how he would fight. Me, one day, I would love to make my own fighting style. I would love to do that. I probably will. I don't know how. I don't know when, but I will. Keep tuning in. Anyways, but now that I've ranted and raved, I'd like to go ahead and just demonstrate, one thing that, a lot of people, they do talk about, but in my opinion, not enough. And the reason why I believe that it's not talked about enough is because, I believe that, if you're going to learn fighting, the first thing you need to learn is a good defense. All right. You need to learn some good defensive moves before you go and learning offensive moves. Why? Because the first thing that you go to a martial arts school and they're like, okay, let's teach you how to punch and let's teach you how to kick. But here's the problem. If you go into a real fight and you're trying to punch and kick and you don't know how to punch and kick because the only thing you've been doing is fighting, says, huh, 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 huh. You know what I'm saying? That's all you've been doing. When you get into a fight, you're not just going to be all like, no. So I feel as though learn defense first. That's me. Anyone that, I have taught several females, not martial arts, but just self-defense. self-defense techniques. And the first thing I always get them to do, first, you got to get comfortable moving. I make them like do goofy, silly dances and stuff, more or less to get comfortable with being, with moving around, to get them to understand that, first and foremost, you have to move. You know what I'm saying? When you're fighting, moving is vital. Okay. Because if you're standing still, you are a still target. Okay. You're not, you know what I'm saying? Anybody who's standing still, this is the reason why they teach you to move and to bob and to jump and to bounce in boxing, so that you are not a still target. You know what I'm saying? You're not just in place, but you notice boxers get tired, UFC fighters get tired, and you know what I'm saying? And you notice they drop their guard and this and that. But there's one thing they're doing, even though they drop their guard, they're still like they're never really ever planted. They're always still like kind of like moving. They're always still like, you know what I'm saying? They're on their feet. Why? Because if you're planted, it's much harder to move if you're planted than if you're on your toes. All right. If you try to run, if you just take off running from just flat feet, it's a lot slower than if you take off from like the balls of your feet. This is the reason why when they tell the people who are doing track, when they run, they get you in the position where your feet are in a certain way, so that then this way your takeoff is a lot faster than if you're on planted feet. This is the reason why when they get you, I know you can't see me, but when they get you down, they tell you to get down, and your feet are all propped up on those I don't know what they are. I never ran track. A black guy that hasn't run track, right? I know it's weird. No, I played soccer. Yeah, I know I'm weird. But you have it where they have them planted on those metal spikes or whatever that help them, to take off. That's to help them to achieve maximum acceleration much quicker than opposed to them running flat. It's the same concept in fighting. When you're fighting, you're not supposed to ever be flat-footed. Believe it or not, and it's much easier for those who don't know what they're doing. Okay, for those who don't know what they're doing that are like flat-footed, it's much easier to knock that individual off their balance. It's much easier to take them down. It's much easier to throw them. You know what I'm saying? You would think that it's a lot easier for that individual on the balls of their feet. No, because if you try to go after the individual on the balls of their feet, they're moving. And then as they're moving, you try to grab them, they'll say, what are we doing? Like their body is stopped, but their mind is still going. So therefore the two aren't like in sync. But when the body is moving and the mind is moving, it makes your reactions a lot quicker, a lot sharper. You know what I'm saying? It makes your reaction time a lot better because, that's why they say a body at rest stays at rest. Okay. An individual who's at rest, unless you're planted for a specific reason, like maybe there's a kick that you got to try to deliver where you have to, be planted on the ground, or maybe you have to be planted to do a certain throw or do a certain technique. That's different. That's different than opposed to you're just in a straight up street fight, or maybe in just a boxing match or something like that, and your feet are just flat on the ground. That's completely different. Okay? The individual who has flat feet, they will 9 times out of 10 always lose to the individual who's very fluent. But there's a downside to being very, as I said, fluent. Because, see, you got to understand, all this bouncing takes energy. All right? We look at Bruce Lee, and he would bounce. And he, you know what I'm saying? He get that martial art. That takes energy, though. Okay? All of that takes energy. It takes energy to bounce. It takes energy to duck and bob and weave, and you know what I'm saying? And it all of that takes energy. This is the reason why I said, if you're going to practice any of this stuff, practice, because it's not just going to, yeah, you can get lucky and go out there in a street fight or two and, whatever, yeah, but unless you practice, Now, I don't condone fighting. I'm not saying go out there and fight. I'm for sparring. I know some people are like, what's the difference? At least sparring is just structured. It's a structured environment. If you can take, what I'm saying, if I ever want to get in a street fight with somebody and I can convince them to come spar with me, I'll do that all day. But you know what I'm saying? If I have to get into a street fight, I'm not saying that I'm not that individual that's just like, I wish somebody would get in my face. I'll knock them out and break bones. That's not me. No, hell no, no. I'm the individual that's like, I hope I don't have to get into a fight. I don't want to fight you. Okay? Yeah, I'll do everything I can to avoid fighting you, but if it's time to throw hands, I'm not going to be the first one to back down. You get what I'm saying? It's like, okay, when it's time, if it's time, you get what I'm saying? Like, I'll do everything I can to walk away, avoid it, whatever. But if you put me in a position where it's like, it's time, let's do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's the way they teach you in martial arts. Martial arts, you're taught you don't want to fight an individual. Not because you're better than them, not because of, your hands are your hands are weapons in themselves. Look, scratch all that BS. Okay? Scratch all that. Okay? Because you have had in the past, you know what I'm saying, black belts of the umpteenth degree get knocked the hell out by a Joe Blow street fighter out there on the block. Okay? All right? Again, it's about whoever wants it more. It's about who trains more. It's about who gets the better shot. Because you got to understand, here's another reason why I say fighting is a theory. I can get in the ring with anybody. And it doesn't matter how skilled I am or how skilled they are. All it takes is one lucky hit. One blind punch thrown. I don't care if it's a haymaker, a hammer fist, a jab, a hook, an uppercut, a cross. It does not matter if they're throwing haymakers. They just, what, it does not matter. However it's coming. All it takes is just that one hit, kick, knee, elbow, whatever. It just takes that one. And like I said, it doesn't even have to be a skilled, dedicated, plan, you know what I'm saying? Strategized strike. It could just be just one lucky, blind swing of the arm. Lights out. Lights out. I don't care who you are. Mayweather, Tyson. It doesn't matter. It just takes that. Granted, it is harder to knock some people out than it is others. But again, all it takes is just that one. Just one. Lights out. All right? You know what I'm saying? This is the reason why. You don't believe me? This is the reason why. Look at, okay, which is what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover slips. Okay, we're going to cover slips, dips, ducks. You know what I'm saying? We're going to cover that on today. But the reason why is because Mike Tyson, he really did inspire this video because I was watching some of his fights. Man, Tyson, you know what I'm saying? His, you know what I'm saying? He comes in, you know what I'm saying? You hear me and Q talk about this all day long. Tyson comes in, you know what I'm saying? Chin tucked. He's coming in. But notice, he ain't coming in straight. He's coming in like, you know what I'm saying? And he's moving fast. You know what I'm saying? That's not just what he did in It Man. You look at his fights, he's coming in. He's, you know what I'm saying? And then when he gets fighters in the right, they go swinging. He's dipping, he's slipping, he's, you know what I'm saying? Especially young Mike. We're talking about young Mike before he was winning championships, Mike's. Before he was winning championship belts, Mike. When you look at how he's doing martial arts, street fighting, boxing, whatever, this is key because every form of fighting has this. They all have this in common. Slips, ducks, you know what I'm saying? It's very, you know what I'm saying? Muay Thai has it, you know what I'm saying? It's, you know what I'm saying? Wing Chun has it, Wing Chun has it, but they have it. It's all in different ways. Okay? Some martial arts will say, you step to one side, you know what I'm saying? Some will, some will have a hit. Get the hell out of the way of the punch. You know what I'm saying? There's always some form of that in every style of martial arts. So that's what we're going to cover because, like I said, I believe that if you have decent defense in the beginning, learning. This isn't for you guys who, you guys are also, you've been studying Muay Thai for a couple of years or any other form of martial arts. This is for the people who are just like, hey, hey, Sean, if I was, getting into fighting, what would you say would be the first thing to really, start trying to work on, especially if I'm an individual who's, I'm not able to get to the gym all the time? What's something that I can just work on at home by myself that I can see good results from? You know what I'm saying? Dips and slips, ducks. You know what I'm saying? You want to slip a punch, And that just basically is just as far. Now, of course, it doesn't look, when you look at the fighters, it doesn't look like this. And I'll just, I'll do something just to real slow, just to over dramatize so that you can see what you're supposed to do. But when you do it up to speed, it does, it just, it looks real, Look at a boxing match. You see, they get in there and it's, they're dipping back, they're, to the side, one side, up, down and around, especially when somebody's about to strike and they'll come and they'll square their shoulders up and then like they'll throw several shoulders and then they'll like go in for like a combo or something like that. Why do they throw those shoulders? One, to psych you out, which is another good reason why I believe, again, this is something real good to learn at first, to psych the individual out. They don't know which hand they're going to throw from. But also, this gets them in a mode. They're going to come in. They're coming into their opponent. They're getting closer to their opponent. So should their opponent throw something, they're already in the mode to be moving to counter or to get out of the way, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Take note too, okay? So first thing we're going to do, of course, you want to establish a decent fighting style. Now, fighting style, most people are like this. You do not want your fist up to where it's like it's blocking your view. Okay, you don't have time to try to find out what's comfortable when you're actually up against some opponent. Unfortunately, you don't. Okay, it's best that you go ahead, try to find those things out now. So you bring your, you bring your guard up, like I said, right below eye level, close enough to where it's like there's a little bit of the space in between them, but not a lot. And the reason why is because you don't want them too close. Because should it be that let's just say, for instance, you try to strike with your backhand. I'm left-handed. That's the reason why, I got it like this. Let's just say for whatever reason you try to strike with, you don't want your own hands getting in the way. You know what I'm saying? Then also you don't want it to be where they're too close together, because in the heat of the moment, you be able to throw a punch back. And I know it sounds stupid, but it has happened. Individuals who, people who have fought, they've seen it, or it has happened to them. You get it where you throw, you throw a punch. I don't care how you throw it. You throw a punch and that fist comes back and bops you. You're bopping yourself in the face with your own fist. This is the reason why I say you want to keep them kind of spaced, just a little bit. Okay, you want to keep them kind of spaced to where it's like almost like, your thumbs. Okay, you want to keep it like just about that much space. By all means, if you got a better technique, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. All right. This is how I started, for beginners. You know what I'm saying? This isn't, no, I'm not talking about this is for Muay Thai, Wing Chun, Jeet Kune Do or anything. No, this is just for somebody who's just like, hey, where do I start? You get it where everybody wants to start off on YouTube. Hey, look, you just want somewhere to start? It's a good place to start. Okay. So you get yourself, again, like so I say, you want to practice this. You want to learn this stuff before you actually get into a fight. Or if you've already been into a fight and you're going to get into more fights, you want to go ahead and practice it. So again, one, you can get comfortable. If you're comfortable, you've already put yourself ahead of the other fighter. You don't want to be too comfortable where you're just, but I mean, it's okay. It's the same concept in Kung Fu. Kung Fu, they teach you that a relaxed body is a powerful body. Okay. And in karate, they teach like, tenseness, tenseness is, is very, tenseness is, but what I've learned from my experience, and by all means, everybody has their own opinion, but in my opinion, for me, it works for me, the Kung Fu method of being relaxed, tenseness and really, you gotta be tense at times, you gotta be relaxed at times. But being relaxed really does help. It helps you mentally, and it does help you physically because it does help you to move faster. Being tense makes it to where your movements are a bit, they're a bit hindered. But being, you want to go ahead. I don't mean relax as far as like, you're just like, yeah, this is. No, I mean relax as far as like, if you've got to hold your guard up for a while, you can hold this position. That's what I mean relaxed. Okay? Relaxed in a fighting term is much different than just being relaxed and like you're just chilling on the couch. No, you want to be in a position where you can hold this guard for the fight doesn't last more than a minute or two. 3 to 5 minutes tops, and that's if your females grabbing at each other's hair. But if it's dudes, y'all ain't really too much grabbing at each other. Y'all are, unless you like grabbing each other and you're grappling with each other, that's different. But if it's actually when you two are actually throwing hands, maybe a minute or two. That's it. 3 minutes tops. Okay. After about 3 minutes, you're tired. Don't believe me? Look at professional fighters. Look at professional fighters. These are professionals. All right. Don't believe me? Look at a boxing match. Those guys get out in round one. Round one, they come out. Yeah, they come out and this and that and this. You know what I'm saying? But if they really come out and they're like throwing hands from the beginning, by minute 3, their arms are going to be down here. Their arms are no longer going to be up here. They're going to be here. Okay? That's another way you can, which, for some it would be good. You know what I'm saying? Their guard is here. Their fists are like way up. Okay, their fists are way up. But unfortunately, look at the amount of space. You know what I'm saying? But this is like for like the individual who's like, you're more like, this is more you, like if you've been in several fights and this is home for you, that's different. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't recommend this guard for a beginner. No. This is more like for somebody that's like, you're a professional or you've been in several fights. You've got experience in fighting. That's home for you. One back. I try to fight from here. I try to fight from here. The reason why I try to fight from here is because, I try not to let everybody know which hand is my power hand. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, if I'm fighting more from here, it allows me to go left or go right. I can strike with the left, I can strike with the right, I can cross left, cross right. You know what I'm saying? It's like whichever hand is my power hand, you won't really know until I start getting lazy and get into. But by that time, I mean, hell, I'm not planning for a fight to go that long where you see me getting lazy. I'm planning to take you out in the beginning of the fight. But again, I'm not saying I'm the best fighter in all cases. So, I've just been in enough fights, both in the streets and in the ring, to know what I'm talking about. Okay, so here, okay, now, first thing that you want to practice is ducking. So what is a good exercise? You want to practice a lot of squats, all right? Practice squats. Now, mind you, if you practice your squats, you have practiced you practice ducking, slipping, all right? And you practice, you know what I'm saying? It's all in your legs, you know what I'm saying? But also, if you practice your squats, you're also, training your legs to build power for your punches, because when you punch, the power starts from the ground up, okay? It starts from the ground. Another key thing, you make sure, and we'll cover punches at another time, you want to make sure that you're punching with your body also. So therefore, you want to get your body behind the punch. My thing was, I didn't know this. I would just punch people. I didn't know you had to. And mind you, I was in Taekwondo, for several years. And, I'm punching, you know what I'm saying? And I would punch people like that, and they would laugh at me like, what are you doing? Like, that didn't even hurt. And I'm really like punching them with everything I got. It wasn't until I was 25 years old and I got into Muay Thai. My instructor's like, he's like, hit me now. Boom. He's like, hit it. Boom. I mean, I'm hitting with everything I got. And he's just like, hit the bag. And I'm like, I am. He's like, yeah, we got to start you from the beginning. And he's like, no. When he showed me like really how to like throw a punch, but the reason why I also, is because, like I said, starts with the legs. You start with your squats. Don't just do regular squats. Do different kinds of squats, because you got to understand you're moving. All right. Now, mind you, I tell you to start with the squats also because, again, if like I told you, you don't want to just be planted. You're moving. You want to be moving, and then a lot of times the squats, and then this also gets it to where, as you practice your squats, you're practicing ducking. So it's like, just imagine, either you have a friend, a brother, a sister, a training partner, whatever, just practice, and they're just throwing a punch at you. Or you could just do it with me. I'll throw the punch, okay? I'll throw the punch, okay? Every time I throw the punch, you duck, okay? And that's you squatting. Punch, you duck. Back, you keep rewinding through this one little tiny segment. You're practicing your ducking. You're practicing your ducking. You're exercising your squats, all right? Now, as I'm doing this, I want you to go from here to slipping. So now, like when I think of it, like when I'm throwing the punch, you're dipping shoulder. You're either lunging to the side or shoulder. As you develop to hit some kind of power move or uppercut, when they when you really notice them dipping that shoulder, they really want to throw something, they want to come with something behind that. But if you're just moving, your ear, or maybe even like over your elbow, if you're like dipping enough, okay? So it's like you're dipping, okay? Dip. And like I said, either move to the side. And the reason why I say move to the side is because if you just practice this, then when you get into a fight, when you fight, your movements become sharper and shorter. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if I tell you to move, like why? Because you're opting for speed. You get what I'm saying? Lunging way out here is not speed. Because now you're lunging way out here. If your opponent throws here, you lunge way out there. That gives them time to come with, you know what I'm saying? But if you're here and right back, you get what I'm saying? But if you practice the big lunges, you know what I'm saying? When you practice the big lunges, when it's time for your muscles to respond, it'll be real quick. You're not gonna move out that far. You won't. This is the reason why also I tell you practice. You know what I'm saying? You want the muscle memory, okay? Step to the side, step forward a little. Step forward, step to the side. You know what I'm saying? As I punch, as I'm punching, you're stepping to the side, or again, go back to squats. If my punches are real quick, then you're here, sure to exercise your legs. That's very key, because a lot of times, this is one key reason why, another way to practice, jump rope. Jump rope. If you don't practice that, it will drain you. Believe me, it will. So go ahead, take that, and I'll be back with more fighting tips along with other goofy random stuff that I'm talking about. So please, by all means, practice your dips and your slips, practice your ducking, you know what I'm saying? Practice dropping that shoulder, you know what I'm saying? But again, like I said, you won't actually be like in a fight. So, I don't want anybody to look at this video like, what is he teaching you? I'm just trying to get you in movement first. Learning to move is the first thing. Your defense is second. You don't know how to move, you don't know how to fight. It's building blocks. Everything starts with the fundamentals. If you don't know the fundamentals, if you don't know the basics, then there's nothing advanced that you can learn. All the advanced stuff comes from the basic movements. All right? Prime example. How can you throw a punch except you know how to lift your arm? To break it down, everything step by step. And as time goes on, I'll be doing more martial arts and fighting videos, more anime videos. Be bringing to you more goofy random stuff from movies and all other kinds of stuff. And pretty soon, I'll be having a lot more editing and whatnot of my videos. So you guys stay tuned. Continue to click like and subscribe. Thumb this video the way the hell up for me. And by all means, you guys just do what you can do. Do your thing. This is Sean Liu, aka Lyle Lewis. 2 Black Eyes. Out. I'm learning to fade to black.